Hey guys, it's your girl Mila, and welcome to episode 2 of my vlog, Life the Audacity. By the way, today is November 8th, Election Day. I hope you all went out and did your civic duty and voted. I'm here in the DMV, well, DC, and Muriel Bowser, Red Grant, and all them is up for election. And I'm just gonna say this to all my native Washingtonians. We love to see black girl magic, and it's a lot of black things happening in DC, good black things. But I'm a little sick of my girl Muriel. She got to go. Her time is up. She did some good things in this city, but we have a few complaints. Some of us native Washingtonians. But I hope you guys getting out and voting. I wanted to update you guys on my apartment situation. So my landlord, he heard me, and it took him a few days to call me back. But he got over here and he got the work done. So I'm back in my place. Thank God. Because, ain't nothing like your own bed, right? Okay. Anyway. So that's the update on that election day. Oh, I know I kind of skipped over this because I wanted to give y'all my apartment update because I was so happy to give it. But I'm so glad not to have to see another political ad on my TV after this. Listen, for my folks who live in Virginia who watching this, please don't vote for Yesli Vega or what's the Asian dude now. I don't want to call him Chinese because I don't know what his Oriental background is, but I know he's Asian. Chow Hung or Chow Young. Please don't vote for them because they're crazy. And I'm sick of watching their political ads talking about how they off the chain. And in other news, it's some developments with the whole takeoff thing, and they say Jay Prince Jr. had a lot to do with it. His man in the yellow hoodie. It's a video on YouTube that I'm probably gonna tag on here that shows that Jay Prince and his people ain't right. But anyway, on this episode, I really want to give you guys my testimony and give y'all some encouragement. Because this is about being real and it's about being raw. And it is episode 2. And, why not? So, as you guys know, I'm 33 years old. I've been a type 1 diabetic for all my life. And with that comes a journey. Some good things, some bad things, some interesting things, some not so interesting things, some restrictions, and it's just a different way of living, right? For some of us who have friends and family who diabetic, especially for our type 2 friends, y'all always say, just eat right, just do this, just do that, and exercise. Baby, when you diabetic, you can eat right all day. You can be perfect. You can exercise every day. But because of your body makeup and genetics, things will happen to you, especially if you're a type 1. You don't have a way around all of that. You just take care of yourself the best way that you can. Every day, even when you're not your best. You still just it's no way around some of the things that may or may not happen to you. In my case, a lot of things in these 33 years have happened to me. I remember being a little girl when the diagnosis was certain that I was diabetic. And I was a kid. I had to be like 5 or 6 years old. Yeah. Them saying, oh, she probably has diabetes. And my mom at the time was getting I don't know if she had her license yet or was she working in the doctor's office, but I know she was a nursing assistant at the time. And, she had experience with people with diabetes or high blood pressure and stuff. And I remember her kept saying something ain't right. My baby just don't seem right. One week she this size, next week she that size. She always in the bathroom. I was drinking like jugs of water and juice as a little kid. Like always thirsty, always pissy. But I was never like tired. I was active. I played basketball. I cheered, all that. I even was in a little dance company over here in Brooklyn and DC and Northeast. And you wouldn't have thought nothing different. But my mom, she knew, right? She knew. And then both of my great grandmothers battled with diabetes. So when I finally got a certain diagnosis, it was like, yeah, it's diabetes. And they told my mom that, from what they could see in my hormones and stuff, that it probably was type 2 diabetes. And my mom, she knew things, but she didn't know better than to say, you sure it's not type 1? Because when you're a juvenile and you have diabetes, it's clearly, it gotta be type 1 diabetes, especially if you're not a child that's overweight, right? And I wasn't a really big kid. I was a tall kid, but I wasn't a big kid. I wasn't a chunky kid. The biggest thing on my body was my face. As you can see, I still got a big face. But anyway, and so as years progressed, I went through a lot with my periods and my sugars being out of whack. Like no matter what they gave me, nothing seemed to really work. Even before they had all these insulin pumps and all this stuff, even with my mom and my dad and grandma waking me up in the middle of the night to give me insulin shots and making me eat cottage cheese and all types of other things that I would just call old people snacks. But yeah, like I went through a lot even as a kid. I was even teased for being diabetic. You would be surprised how many elementary school and middle school kids who don't know any better will tease you. And back in the 90s, even now as a teacher, we have a buddy system with our kids. Like if they go to the bathroom or if they go to the nurse and we have our hands full, we send a responsible or what we think is a responsible child with the kid who needs, to go to the restroom or to the nurse. And they stay with them and then they come back together, right? For safety precautions and just to know that, everything is being done in order. So I remember when I used to have to go to the nurse to get my shots and stuff. When I was in elementary school, yeah, kids teased me, but my brothers teased me too because I had to get shots, right? They used to call me a crackhead. It's not funny, but hindsight, like, a crackhead, seriously. But anyway, the kids, they were so fascinated that I was going to the nurse to get a shot before I could eat. Like, it was a thing. But when I got to middle school, they really teased me bad. Or it was like, I felt like it was a circus act. And I became ashamed. I became sad. I always knew that what I had to do to survive or to like navigate life and stuff, I always knew that it was different because my brothers, they don't have diabetes. They're like perfectly normal. I mean, my youngest brother, he was born a preemie and he has his own things that is his business. But like they didn't have to take shots and we wake up in the middle of the night. They didn't have to eat this and eat that and have special snacks and all that kind of stuff. Like that wasn't their lifestyle. Or my cousins. None of my cousins, my first cousins anyway that I know of, none of them have like diabetes or anything like that. So they would tease me real, real bad. And I started to become ashamed. I was ashamed. And now that I'm older, I don't know why I was ashamed. I think just because of the pressures of being a child and being teased for something that you can't necessarily control. Like, so it came to a point when I was in middle school, I used to duck the nurse, y'all. I ducked that lady. And she was like an older Caribbean lady, so they don't play. They do not play. I would duck her. Especially depending on who I had to go. Like who was my buddy who was going with me to the nurse. Like, I'm ducking this lady because listen, they already, in middle school is Karoo, if you don't know. If you don't remember, middle school is Karoo, is a zoo. And actually, as an adult and as a teacher, middle school is my favorite grade band to teach. It's just something about them now, right? But back then, horrible. Horrible. And if you know me, you know sis has a mouth on her. But it still didn't feel good to be shamed and talked about and teased for something that's a health issue that I just couldn't, like, I can't help it, like, it's just something that comes with Jamila, right? And I remember in those years, I used to pray to God. I used to be like, God, please make me normal. And not only because I was getting teased, because my body began to change. And I didn't understand what was happening. Nothing stayed the same. Every day for me, my body, even mentally, felt like it was going through a different process. It just wasn't right. I just didn't feel, quote unquote, normal, right? Then there came a time where my doctor was like, well, you don't feel normal because your hormones and your insulin, they're not meshing together the way they're supposed to. So she put me on something new. And when I tell you, that was one of the worst times I can remember as a kid going through this. Because all my skin changed. And I didn't really have acne, but my skin just felt always so oily and so greasy all the time. And of course, I'm going through hormones, like I'm a teenager, like that happens, right? But then my hair, all of my hair started to come out in clumps. And I was a girl. One thing about it in DC, back then, in the 2000s, the girls did not play with their micro braids, and we did not play with our roller wraps, our silk presses. Did not play. And I was a girl who always had her hair done. And even on days when my hair wasn't done, I had beautiful curly hair. So, we would slick that thing back into, a ponytail with the curls popping in the back, and it'll be fine. But like I said, it came a time when my hair was falling out in clumps. And my godmother, she is a hairstylist. And my mom, she knows how to do hair because she's worked with my godmother for many years in the salon, right? It was just at this point, there's nothing else to do because you have to take this medicine. This medicine is keeping you healthy, it's keeping you alive, but it's pulling your hair out. And for a 13, 14-year-old girl, that is traumatizing. It is traumatizing. And I remember the girls would talk about me anyway, not because I had diabetes, but because middle school is cruel, right? But again, I wasn't no bald head girl. I wasn't no Bama. I always was stylish, always had my hair down. And I remember these two girls. One girl, her name was Portia. And her other friends, her name started with an L. I want to say her name was Leandria. I'm probably wrong, but it's something, Leandria or LaCara, something like that, right? And I don't care if they find this YouTube and they be mad about it. Whatever, we grown. We can laugh about it now because I know I can laugh about it. I remember them getting mad at me and teasing me on the bus, and one of them went to go pull my hair. And they had a fist full of hair from out of my ponytail. When I say shame and embarrassment, and I was so angry at my situation, you ever be so angry you just start crying? Child, when I say I was under this brown skin was red. I remember And I had finally told them, because my mother told me, do not fight them girls. Because I had been going back and forth with these girls for weeks, right? For weeks. And even my girlfriend, Krista, rest her soul, I remember her saying, Milla, don't fight them girls when you get in that 70 bus. Just go home, mind your business. Because if you fight, you're going to get kicked out and your mother going to beat your butt. Period. Because I'm ever like, don't fight, especially in my good brand new stuff that I bought you. Your stuff is not cheap. And if you got to fight to survive to get home, that's one thing. But if you just fighting because you can't take what somebody's saying to you, get some tougher skin. It is what it is. Because this school is exclusive. This school is going to guarantee you get into a good high school. It's going to guarantee that you get into a good college. Blase, blase. Y'all know how black parents be. So, with that being said, I had to control my anger for weeks, right? But that day, they pulled my ponytail, my head came out of my ponytail, and they teased me and was calling me bald head and saying all this stuff. I remember turning around to that girl and her friends and saying, listen, y'all want to fight? Y'all want to talk about somebody so bad? Meet me at Shaw Howard Station. Y'all know the bus gonna pull up right there. We gonna go across the street by the 7-Eleven and we can wreck. Y'all imagine my mother had just bought me these brand new little Kenneth Cole loafers. Baby, first of all, you ain't supposed to be fighting them good church shoes anyway. But secondly, if you mess them up, because Kenny Cole, back in the day, baby, he was it, right? Child, I was fighting for my life. I would never forget. And I wouldn't even fight for my life. I was fighting for respect. I was fighting for the shame that I felt, right? And that was right before. That was probably the week that I ended up getting all of my hair cut, right? So I was already angry because I knew the next time I got my hair done, we had already planned to cut my hair. So I was going through so many emotions at 13, 14 years old. And some girls at that age, they just think that their hair is what make them, right? No matter how stylish you are, if you bald head and not by choice, oh my God. Back then, the girls, the boys, everybody, shoot, even teachers probably talk about you. But I remember going and getting my hair cut off into a pixie cut. Child, I came out there salon looking like a 30-year-old woman. But to be honest, when I look back, I'm gonna put some of the pictures if I can find them in this video. That cut was fly. My godmother, she cut that thing, okay? That thing was nice. But I was young. I ain't know it was nice. I was just like, I'm bald head. And I got a haircut like how my mom and my aunties be wearing. They look cute with it because they older and they sexy and sassy. But I am 13, 14 years old. I don't want this bald head ass cut. Like, I don't want to wear this. This is not cute. I'm literally in a uniform with a pixie cut. Like, what? Girl, I want my roller up. I want my silk press. I want my micro braids. And it just wasn't healthy for my hair at the time to be doing that. Like, I had to cut my hair into a pixie cut and start over. It got to the point where I was begging my mother to beg the doctor to take me off that medication and put me on something else. And even with that, I don't think even my friends noticed, but my parents did. My grandparents, they noticed. In that year process that I was on that medication, I lost so much weight. Like bony. I didn't even really notice it. I mean, I noticed that I had about different sizes, but for a child who has diabetes, your weight is always up and down. But when I look back, especially when I look at pictures, oh man, my weight was all over the place. But that particular year, yeah, I was thin. I looked like Star Jones. Y'all know how, and no offense to Miss Star Jones, but y'all know how like her body is thin and then her face is full and it's like a bobblehead. Oh, I look like a bobblehead. Oh my God. oh my God, I look like a bobblehead. And nobody told me. Like, nobody told me. I just knew that I was in a smaller size, and I was just living life, growing out my pixie cut, and trying to get off this medication because I'm tired of being bowhead. Right? So I went through a couple years of that and still was shamed. Y'all, I don't know why I felt so much shame being diabetic. I don't know why it was so embarrassing. I mean, now I look back on the kids teach you about everything. Even if you look perfect, they tease you. And I would care less, even in this day and time right now, if somebody said anything to me about any way I look or dress or anything like that, I would not care. And I probably would have something slick to say about it. And even then, I was talking slick. But I was so ashamed. Now that I even think about it, I think I may have even been a little depressed about it, right? So fast forward through high school, not many people knew, and it didn't matter because the crew that I hung out with, they knew, and the important teachers and nurses knew, right? At that time, I had ducked the nurse entirely. In high school, the nurse probably saw me like the first month of high school, right? And then after that, she didn't see me no more. But I was taking care of myself. I was not taking my medicine and stuff. But you ask my doctors, what is going on? Nothing yet again is working for you. You sure? And my mom was like, no, she taking it. She taking it. We doing this, we doing that. No lies. Because if I wasn't, she would tell the truth, right? It got to the point where they was just like, we just going to pump this in you and pump that in you and see if it worked. None of that stuff worked. And again, they were saying that I was a type 2 diabetic, right? None of that worked. And of course, I was gaining weight, but I still wasn't fat. I don't know why I thought I was fat back then. Who told me that? I wasn't fat. But, whatever. I thought I was fat. But I wasn't. I was just, again, I was always taller. Like, I was always taller. So I wasn't fat. I was just like, I had a big face and long legs. And I guess it just made me feel like I was fat. Especially compared to my classmates. Anyway. And then around that time, my junior year of high school, again, walking around, praying to God, please take this away from me. Please heal me. Because I know this is not my portion. This is not my purpose in life to just walk around, feeling so shamed and being so sick and then nothing's working for me. Like, we ain't even going to talk about menstrual periods and being type 1 diabetic and your medicine not working. And coming on your period. Baby. Because that's when they start getting regular. Baby, that was not fun for me. It was many days that I didn't go to school for that because of that. It was many days I had to call my father to come get me from the bus stop. And he literally had to carry me. And I told y'all that I was tall. I wasn't bony. But I was a little above average, about average size back then. Baby, and my father, after a while, he would be like, Jamila, if you going to get period, we not going to school. Because I can't keep bringing you a change of clothes. I can't keep coming to pick you up. And I hate seeing you like that, especially in public when you can't get comfortable and get yourself together. Right? When I say throwing up for days, not eating, and I'm diabetic, I cannot be throwing up. And I cannot not eat. Right? So that just throws my body up. All out of whack for 50 lamb days, umpteen hours, whatever, right? It was never a good situation. It was days that I would come on and I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And when I got to bed, it would go to the bathroom and go back to my bed. That bad, right? Sometimes I would get so desperate because I would be, like if my mom or dad had to work, right? That means I'm home alone because my brothers are in school. And my grandma at the time, who lived across the street from us, this is around the time where she was very, very sick. And she was in that, like, the rehab home for old folks. and she couldn't really walk that good. Like, she was so sick. And she, too, was diabetic, and she was suffering from diabetic complications. And I remember it were days where I would pass out. It would be days that I would be in so much pain, and I would be so sick that if I managed to get out of the bed, I would crawl to the living room and lay in front of the door until somebody came home to help me. I remember those days, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad I don't have to go through most of that anymore, right? I'm still a girl that have her situations with her menstrual, but it's not crazy and dramatic like that. But it used to be so bad. I had to go to the emergency room because I was so sick, and my sugar would either be down to the floor or through the roof because my body just could not regulate anything. Oh my goodness. I remember begging my mom to put me on birth control. And I remember her saying, ain't nobody put you on birth control. We gonna figure this out without all that. And the doctors just be like, birth control will help her hormones regulate. It might help, balance the insulin better. But natural is best. Maybe this is just how her cycles are. Da. Baby, let me tell you something. When I got to college, my first 2 years of college, I still wasn't on birth control. But I remember my junior year of college, I said, bump this. I'm going to get some birth control because I cannot take this anymore. I ain't fin to suffer no more. I'm not doing that. I remember getting that birth control. I got Depo, y'all. So I was getting them shots in my butt every 3 months, faithfully. And I remember hearing, I don't want to say who it was, maybe we talk about it another time, hearing a phone conversation amongst my family members. And I remember somebody saying, don't get her no birth control. That's going to be a reason for her to have sex. Child, but I wasn't trying to have sex. I was trying to be healed from these miserable menstrual cramps and this weird diabetes tearing my body up every month for days on end. Child, I am not thinking about no sex, child. It's so funny because truly my parents, because they were teenage parents, they had scared me from having sex. Child, sex. I don't even want to see nobody dangling. Ooh, child, I don't want to see it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to smell it. I don't care what it's like. You can't convince me. I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't want it. I'm okay. Like, it was giving a big no. And to know me is to know that's the truth. It took me a long time. But, yeah. And then I got to college, and because I was so ashamed, I told nobody. Of course, the medical staff at my college. Shout out to Lincoln University. The first HBCU. I said the first HBCU. 1, 8, 5, 4. First HBCU for sure. 1, 8, 5, 4. First HBCU for sure. I love my Lincoln family. And the experience there was amazing. But again, back to the story if I get on test. I know I get on test a little bit. But only the medical staff there knew. And there's so many kids there. Child, you ain't checking in. They ain't checking for you. They worry about you when the emergency comes. Okay, hello? Ain't no emergency. Like I like me my first time saying, ain't no emergency. Don't worry about it. So I remember my good friend. I'm tell y'all the story. She probably gonna be embarrassed. I don't know if I should use her name, but I'm sure she don't care. I remember my good girlfriend, my best friend at the time. My best friend, it's like we met, me, her, my other girlfriend. We met and we was just like butt buddies. Like, okay, we are family, not just Lincoln family, but we real family. Okay, babies, baby showers, weddings, all of that good things, right? So I remember my good girlfriend, Nay. Her book bag broke, and she asked to use one of my bags. So I went to Duke Ellington, and back in the day, I didn't really carry no book bag. I wore like a sling bag Oh, this is when the jumbo purses started getting like really, really popular. And I used to carry like my books and stuff in my jumbo purse, right? And because our lockers were so huge at Duke Ellington, we didn't really have to carry our books like that because they all fit in your locker and you rotate them out as you need it. And plus, I was an honor roll student, so needing to carry all that stuff home to study super hard, not because I was an honor roll, but because I was just good at schoolwork. I didn't have to do that all the time, except for like, like test time and stuff. And I still would rotate one book in and out because, I'm about to break my back with them big old history books, slavery books. I'm not taking the encyclopedia home every day. But anyway, that's what I was doing. Even in college, I didn't carry a book bag unless necessary. I used a laptop bag or a laptop sleeve in my big purse. So I had this House of Darion purse. I remember Beyonce had got my House of Darion. Beautiful blue and gold purse. And I had a plethora of those big bags. And I remember her book bag broke, and she was like, may I use one of your big bags to carry my stuff to class? And if you know me, of course you can, girl. Here, which one you want? Oh, you want this one? Let me check this out. And as a diabetic, especially a diabetic before I was on the pump, I just got on the pump like 3 years ago. But prior to that, any old school diabetic, and even some new school diabetics will know, you need to have stuff in every bag you carry, whether you swap it in and out or you leave something in every bag, right? So I always have insulin syringes and alcohol wipes in every bag I carry. Y'all, why I forgot to take the stuff out the bag? Okay. Right. I know what y'all thinking, like, Jamila, first of all, you ain't tell nobody that you got this going on, first of all. Anybody who see that, who don't know what it is, they never experienced it before, they're going to think you're a druggie. They're going to think you on dope when they find that in your bag. Because y'all know the syringes are like individual little ones. Like the dope fiends do use those though, right? And the alcohol swap. Baby, in the vial, if you don't read the vial, because the words on the vial back then was so small, like, that girl, she ain't never, nah, I'm sorry. To this day, I'm sorry. Child, she carried that bag to class, and anybody who know name, she's a little clumsy, and she said she walked in the door, and she tripped, and she dropped the bag, and all the stuff came flying out all over the floor. So, all people see is probably her notebook and a couple pens, and then all of a sudden they see all these syringes and vials rolling across the classroom floor. How freaking embarrassing is that? Embarrassing. Oh my God, so embarrassing, right? So she say, as she's picking up everything, she's like, she mortified. She's shocked because she don't know my situation. Like, I never told them. My roommate knew because, she saw me every day do it, right? And she was just familiar with the situation. But anyway, like the vials and syringes is rolling across the classroom floor. And she's like, oh my God, I don't use drugs. So she's mortified. And now she got to sit through class. She probably thinking like, these people think something is wrong with me. And I remember her and the rest of my friends like kind of like squatting up on me and like coming to talk to me about what she found in my bag. And to this day, I don't know if they thought it was like dope or anything, because if you know me, I'm always laughing. I try to be always in good spirits, and I'm always trying to be happy and stuff. I don't know if they thought that was dope, and I was just high. That's why I was always in like a good mood, regardless. Even when I'm mad, I try to come back as fast as I can. I don't know what they thought it was, but they was like, sister girl, what is this? why is this in your bag? You know, today, and they did this, they did that. And we're trying to figure out what's going on with you, that you have this in your bag. And again, because I was ashamed, I never told him. I never told him. So I had to like break the silence, break the shame, and say, y'all, this is what's going on. And they act like it was nothing. They was like, oh, what's that? How you supposed to do this and what you supposed to do that? How can we help you? Good people. And that's why I said I will forever always love the people that I came in contact at Lincoln, because I ain't never met people like them. Lincoln is just home. Lincoln is just family. I don't care who you know from Lincoln University. I ain't never met nobody who wasn't decent at Lincoln. Okay? The good, decent folk go to Lincoln University. The one in Pennsylvania, that's what I'm talking about, the first. But, yeah, it was cool. You know, like, and I had to, like, start breaking away from being ashamed at that point. Because if something was to happen, how people help me? They don't know. I would have been dead. And my job, that probably was second semester. Like, that was, child, it had been a while. I knew it wasn't, I remember it not being warm outside. I remember that. So, yeah. Probably midterm finals around that time that happened. So it was already, like, high stress in that arena of life anyway. And like, so we're gonna fast forward. I told y'all that was my best friend name. So fast forward to 2018, 2019. In the education field, I'm a teacher in the CES classroom. And for those who don't know what a CES classroom is, it's called Communication Education Services. It's a specialized instruction that DCPS provides to our children who have communication difficulties, whether it be autism, selectively mute, or they have a stuttering problem, any kind of speech or hearing issues. That's the classroom they go to. But most children who are diagnosed with autism are in those classrooms. But even if your kid doesn't have autism, if they have any kind of communication issue, especially on the preschool or elementary school level, they'll be in one of those classrooms. So that was my classroom. It was a very difficult classroom to be in because I have kids that were on so many different parts of the spectrum. Like, y'all know this, the spectrum is, when it comes to specialized instruction, especially kids with autism, and most of the kids in my classroom at that time were diagnosed with the big A. Yeah, like I had some that were probably, we would call the Einstein crew, right? And then I had some that were very, very, like, low, right? And I remember it just being a zoo in there. And one day I was in there by myself. I'm just going to speed the story up because it's actually a really long story. But one day I was in there by myself, dealing with my kids by myself, which you are not supposed to do. There's supposed to be somebody with you when you work in a specialized instructional classroom, special education. You're supposed to have help. Whether you're a lead teacher or whether you're the aide, whether you're a dedicated aide, you're supposed to have help. It's supposed to be at least 2 people in that room at all times. Anyway, so long story short, I was dealing with my kids alone. I got hit in the head with a heavy ball. My head went back up against this wooden chair. The wooden chair leaned back and I hit my head on the chalkboard. And then the child who threw the ball, which he didn't mean to, because I actually was in the middle of teaching him a sharing lesson where you say your turn, my turn, but I had to stop because I had a child on the other side of me having a tantrum, a violent tantrum, banging his head violently up against the wall. And that can't happen. I can't have the baby hurt himself or bust his head because, like, I'm by myself. So once I settled that child, that other child hit me with that ball, then boom, 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 hit my head, all type of stuff. And this little baby, he used to love just to jump in my lap and just to touch my face and like my arm, all that, right? Because it's his communication style. Child, that baby stuck his fingers straight into my eyeballs. When I tell you, I was already in so much pain from hitting my head from the front and from the back. When he put his fingers in my eyeballs, it hurt so bad, I couldn't even cry, couldn't scream, couldn't nothing. I've been in so much pain where it's just a silent pain. You just like one of those. Like there's no sound, just hurt, baby. And then I remember my aide, she coming back into the room. And I'm like, I have to go to the nurse to the bathroom because XYZ just happened. I'm going to send somebody else in here to be with you. All right. That happened. That occurred. I went. The nurse wasn't there. When I went back that afternoon, the nurse was like, you need to go to the emergency room if your vision doesn't come back in a certain amount of time because I can't help you because I'm just an elementary school nurse. Only thing I can give you is a peppermint. A peppermint in a bag of ice. Why can we only give kids peppermints in a pack of ice when they hurt? And the teachers. But anyway, I just remember being like, oh my God, my vision, oh my God. And then once I calmed myself down, I remember saying to myself, Jamila, you are older. And so because you are older, it may take time for your vision to clear back up, okay? Just take a second. Y'all, I worked that whole day. And when I left, the excuse I gave for Nate to come pick me up, because we were roommates at the time, and I think that was the day either she was off or she got off early. I can't remember. And I was like, Nate, can you come pick me up because it's raining and I'm just very, very tired. And I think her boyfriend didn't at the time. It was either her boyfriend's house or her job wasn't that far from where I worked. So she just came and got me. And I knew that she knew something was weird because she asked, she's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm just tired, right? So I never told her that my eyes were messed up. The next morning when we getting ready to go to work, and she's like, oh, I'll drop you off because I have to go that way. The way I came out of the house down the stairs, she knew something was wrong. And she's like, you sure you okay? You can see, you can go to work, da, 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 da. I was like, I'm fine. My vision did not clear up. It looked like I was looking through a dirty glass. Those foggy, old, dusty, dirty glasses where no matter how much you scrape them, you wipe them, you clean them, nothing, right? You just can't see through it. It was like that for a good time, and it got darker. I ain't gonna lie, my eyesight got darker and darker as the day had progressed. It was so bad, y'all. I let other people leave my classroom because I couldn't do it. But I had memorized I don't know why my memory's like that, but I memorized the whole classroom. Like, I knew how to navigate without, looking what I thought to be crazy. I'm sure now, looking back on it, I looked ridiculous in that classroom. I probably looked ridiculous. I probably looked like I was looking for something. Like, I don't know, but I know I probably look crazy, right? So I remember my business manager calling my name in the hallway. And mind you, I'm leaned up against the wall, leaned up against it, touching the wall so I can maneuver through the building to get back and forth to my classroom. And I remember the security guard that day, my business manager thought I was just ignoring her, or I just didn't hear her unless she wanted me to do something, because they always would ask me to do stuff. But I remember that day, the security guard, me and him were real cool. He was like, why do you play so much? Why you walk around the hallway like that, touching the wall, leaning up against it like that? You do too much. And that's why I was like, well, I hit my head. I still be feeling like I'm dizzy walking in the hallway. Lying through my teeth, because I did not want him to go tell my principal or the business manager that something was wrong with me. To this day, I don't know why I did that. That was crazy. But I knew that night when I left that building that I had to go to the emergency room. I went to Howard University first, y'all. They diagnosed me wrong, so I had cornea scratches, and then my vision would clear up in 24 hours. That did not happen. Long story short, I ended up having to go to Washington Hospital sent to their emergency room, and they told me that I had all this stuff going on and that my diabetes was going to complicate it. So I have a winky now in my left eye from those complications. I was blind, literally blind, for 2 years. I had 6 surgeries. And before we even get to talking about the surgeries, these people at the doctor's office at Washington Hospital, I thank God for them because they really saved my vision. Dr. Musa saved my vision. Oh my goodness, I love that man. He was a gentle doctor. He was kind as a person, just an all-around cool dude. But he really saved my vision. Initially when I came in, I was going to the eye doctor every day because it was such a dire need to get my vision to do something, right? When I originally got there, I was there alone. They told me to call my parents and or whoever, my caretaker or whoever I could trust. When my parents got there, they basically told my parents that they need to find me a home to go to because there was a 99.9% chance that these surgeries would not work and I would be blind for the rest of my life. But God is good because I can see. Do I have some complications? Yes. But am I blind? No. But got some residual effects, no big deal. But I went through all of that, and when I say that was the hardest 2 years of my life. But even with that, I never really cried about it. I never really felt angry about it. It was just well, God, this is a part of the journey, right? And obviously you have favored me and graced me to go through this. So this is what's happening. I prayed a prayer and here we are, right? I remember praying a prayer saying to God, let me be the light that my friends see so that they can get to know you, right? Even with everything I had going on, my complications with diabetes, now me being blind and my diabetes making the blindness worse, even with all of that. And let me tell you how good God is, right? I told y'all they had diagnosed me with type 2 diabetes for all of those years. At that time, I was about 27, 28 years old. So, y'all, I have been 20 plus years thinking that I'm a type 2 diabetic, right? Mind you, my endocrinologist kept saying something that's weird because, again, the medication that they're giving me should be working. And she was finally, around that time, starting to dig deeper into, my blood work. My eye doctor, Dr. Musa, when he looked at the back of my eyes, because the back of your eyes can tell a lot. Your eyes, period, can tell a lot about your health condition, right? He looked into the back of my eyes and he said to me, he said, who told you was a type 2 diabetic? And I said, they've been telling me that all my life. He said, I'm telling you from your eyes, and I'm going to do additional blood work to verify, but you a type 1 diabetic and has been. That's why nothing's working for you. That's why this process is going to be very difficult. That's why we're saying that you may not ever be able to see again because of what we can see from your eyes. And even in that moment, I just was like, well, God, again, this is a part of the journey. And here we are. Life is having the audacity right now to take my vision, to steal my life away. I'm going to tell y'all, during that process, I didn't really pray for myself a lot. I actually started to be able to pray for other people more, right? I've been praying for people all my life, oh, God bless them, this, that, and the other, whatever they need. But when I say prayer, ugly, snot, booger, tear, cry, pray for people that I have never seen because something spiritually happened to me when I was blind. And I will talk about that on a different vlog episode because I feel like this one is already long. But when I tell you, it was just different. And I was just like, God, you have graced me for this journey. Help me get through this with grace. And like I said, I didn't really cry a lot. I wasn't very angry. I feel like I was almost emotionless because I made myself brave to walk through that journey. I remember crying because they told me that I wouldn't be able to go back to work. And I remember everybody in the room saying, Jamila, are you nuts? We're telling you you're going to be blind and you crying because you can't go to work. Like, what is wrong with you? And I remember my parents, when they was telling us about the surgeries and stuff, being so hesitant, even in their spirit. I couldn't see them or nothing like that, but I could feel them. And I knew that they were afraid and that they were hesitant. I wasn't. Then people said, let's do the surgery that she was going to have. I said, let's do it. And my mom and dad was like, you don't want to think about it? Nope, let's do it. And I remember me saying to myself in my head, you need to have faith. Enough faith as big as a mustard seed. Because a mustard seed ain't nothing. If you can do that, if you can have that much faith, that little faith, you can walk through this. And I remember walking through it. It was rough, baby. It was rough. I remember the first 2 weeks when I couldn't see. It took me 2 weeks to feel comfortable enough to go and get in the shower alone without having somebody, in there to make sure I didn't fall or I didn't, like hurt myself. Because of course, y'all probably like, girl, it's your body. You know what all your body parts are. I do. But the fear and anxiety of falling in the bathroom while you blind, that's a fear I never experienced before until then. But it ended up working out. Yes, I have anxiety. I had developed anxiety from it. I went through a lot of stuff. When I was blind. But one thing I remember the people at my eye doctor saying, you literally walking in darkness. And you came in here and you brought us so much light and so much joy. They said you still cracking jokes, you still smiling, you still being your authentic self, even though we know you are fighting for your life. And that brings us joy because of who you are. And I was like, again, God just had to grace me for this walk. This had to be a part of my journey that was written before time that I would just have to walk through. And he knew that I was going to be strong enough to do it, right? So that was said and done. And my vision came back. I remember the day my vision came back, everybody was sleeping. I remember like this was like yesterday. Everybody was sleeping, right? It had to be like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and I had memorized the house so I can get around even without nobody's help. So I had, moved my way to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, and I remember feeling to turn the sink on to wash my hands, and I flipped the light on. Usually I didn't need to flip the light on, so it was just one of those days where I flipped the light on. I flipped the light on, and I turned the water on to wash my hands, and I noticed that the bottle on the sink said Biore. Y'all know the facial cleansing cosmetic product, right? And when I read it the first time, I said, "Oh, that says Biore." It took me a whole 20 seconds to be like, "That says Biore! Oh my God, I can read the bottle, right?" But that was only still out of one eye. But I was just so grateful. I was so grateful that my eyesight had popped back through. I remember I was so loud, y'all. I walked the whole house up. But they was all like happy for me. My godson was the first one to hear me like screaming in the bathroom. I think little buddy thought that I was gonna need some help. So he jumped out that bed, ran in that bathroom with me, and he was like, "God, mama, you said it said be all right." I would never forget. And then, my best friend Nay at the time we lived together, we was roommates. She was like, "What you say? What it say?" Like we was just so happy. And now fast forward to the last 2 years. 2 years after that, I end up getting a blister on my foot for my dress shoes, trying to be cute. I mean, the shoes are my size, but you know, when you diabetic, things just happen to your feet and your hands like randomly. You just have to be careful. I guess I had just wore the shoes too many days back to back for too long, and I ended up getting a blister on my foot. And this ER doctor, and at the time, I was so tired, so done with hospitals, so just like, ugh. I think I had developed PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from being back and forth to the hospital, and every time I go, something major is happening to me. This one particular time, I remember the day I went in there, it was Halloween. And if you know anything about living in the city, I guess anywhere, but living in DC and going to the emergency room on Halloween, going to the emergency room, period, it's not fun. But on Halloween, it is a mess. It is a mess. And I remember just being so tired and just wanting to go home. But I knew that I had to get my foot checked out. Mind you, that particular day I got off work at 6:30 because I had did tutoring and after school, and I was just exhausted. So I went in there and I said, hey, I'm diabetic. I have a blister on my foot. Did I ask for a diabetic doctor to come see me? Yes. But the doctor who came was not a specialist. Was he a podiatrist? Yes. But he did not have discipline in taking care of diabetic feet. And from the most energy that I could muster up, I kept saying, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to give me a special boot? Did I need antibiotics? Because I knew enough to know that I needed that. Period. I knew I had cut my foot and hurt my feet before, so I knew enough to know, right, that I would probably need a special boot and some antibiotics. So this doctor was like, no, you probably got that all those other times because you were developing an infection or the way it was on your foot. It was deep, da-da-da-da-da. You're fine. Here's a Band-Aid. You can wear your regular shoes. Just contact your podiatrist. And I kept saying, you sure I don't need a boot? In hindsight, I wish that I would have just ignored him and I would have got a boot. But whatever, because some things are a part of your journey. Whether you bring them on yourselves or it's a lesson that God is teaching you. Whatever, right? So, I end up going home. I went to Florida. I went to New York. I'm walking on and it's like, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I know that because you done busted open and all this stuff. Not even 2 weeks go by. Mind you, I've been in New York and Florida back to back for, 2 consecutive weekends. So I'm going to say two, maybe 3 weeks go by. The skin on my foot, it just didn't look right. You know when something is healing, it scabs over, it's dull, it's ashy, it's crunchy, right? The skin on my foot was not, it just didn't look right. So this one particular day, I went to go touch it, to put some ointment on it, and to wrap it up and make sure it, was clean properly and sterile. The skin from the top of my toe always to the base of my toe came off. And I remember throwing up in between that time, like often. And me and my mom at first thought, did I eat something bad? But it kept happening so many times. So my mom was like, Mills, if you're pregnant, you can tell your mother. And I'm like, 1, I'm a grown lady. I would not be ashamed to be pregnant. 2, at the time I was very single, so I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing any hunching or humping to be getting pregnant. I was just sick because what we didn't know is I had a sepsis infection, which is a blood and bone infection in my body from my toe. So I finally went to back to the emergency room because I couldn't get into my podiatrist, before those 3 weeks. They was so packed. Even though I told them what the issue was, it was just like, well, we got so many people, yada, 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 right? I'm just like, I'm just waiting for my appointment. I go back to the emergency room. When I get there, long story short, the podiatrist that comes, he specializes in all types of foot care, even diabetic foot care. And he says, well, this might just be a skin infection. It might be a little bit in the tissue. Nothing that a boot and an antibiotic won't clear up. But he kept telling me, my spirit is telling me that I need to look deeper into what's going on with your foot. I don't feel like this is just a skin infection. So we're going to get these monitors that's going to monitor your circulation. It's going to see if you got, like any other things going on under the skin. So they come in here with this machine and they read in my circulation. They're like, oh, okay, the circulation is good. But he just kept looking at it. And when he started cutting into it, he was like, something about it ain't right. Because he was cutting like the part that looked infected open so they can drain it and pack it up and wrap me up. But when he started that process, he was like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this until I get an x-ray on your foot. So we go to the x-ray, right? And I'm already like, God, please just let this be a skin infection so I can get some antibiotics and I can go home. I don't care about wearing an ugly boot for a little while. It is what it is. I was nervous, but my spirit just was uneasy. And I remember hearing in my head saying, I knew this was God. He kept saying, be comforted. I am here with you. I am your God. I am here with you. Don't be nervous. Stay comfortable. Stay calm. Right? I remember hearing that in my head over and over and over again. Mind y'all, this is 3 days before Thanksgiving. Literally 3 days before Thanksgiving. So we go to the x-ray. And he was like, yeah, something's weird. I'm going to x-ray your other foot. He was like, have you ever had your feet broken, your toes broken, or anything like that? And I was like, yeah, I played basketball. I've twisted my ankle. I've broken my ankle of, blase, like the normal stuff. And he was like, okay, so I'm going to take a picture of your other foot just to verify. He took a picture of my other foot. He was like, Miss Council, I knew something in my spirit wasn't right. He was like, the bone at the top of your pinky toe is gone. And he was like, you can see where the basically the infection is eating at the bone and the tissue in your foot. Then we went back upstairs and he had got my blood work done and they verified that I had CPAS. I had so much of that infection in my blood. They told me if I had waited one more day that I would not have survived. That's why I was throwing up, because my body was trying to fight the infection, trying to get it out the best way it could. I ended up having emergency foot surgery, and they amputated my pinky toe. And I remember that doctor being so angry at the previous ER doctor for jacking me up like that and sending me home. I know some of y'all are like, why you ain't sue? Why you ain't do this? Why you ain't do that? I tried, but people wouldn't take my case. It was just like, it's such a sensitive case and I'm not going to win because I'm already a diabetic, basically. That was really the reasoning. And with stuff like that, you just can't prove if the diabetes fast-tracked it or if the doctor did something wrong. Right? At this point, we know the doctor did something wrong. I'm not angry at the doctor. I ain't mad at the doctor. I just chalked it up as something a part of my journey. Was it something crushing? It was, because I woke up in a different manner than I went to sleep. And I was on crutches for like 6 weeks, and then I went back to work and all that good stuff. It didn't kill me. It didn't crush me entirely. It hurt my feelings that I was put in this position, and this is yet something else that diabetes is doing to me. And you would think that I would catch a break. No. Here we are now. And I found out last year, after I had been vomiting again every day for almost 2 years, that I knew that my kidneys was failing, right, a couple years ago. But it just wasn't a dire situation. It was more like, okay, we're watching it. And you know, with diabetes, it works on your kidneys and your liver real hard. Blase. The function is decreasing, but you're fine. Then all of a sudden, I was vomiting every day. I was tired. I was fatigued. I was gaining weight. And even when I lost weight, I still was swelling up. Come to find out, my body was holding water because my kidneys had started to fail. So after my birthday, I found out that I was in serious kidney failure, and that they needed to change my medications and my regime and my diet and stuff. I was already on a diabetic diet / Mediterranean diet and all this stuff. And they started putting me on pressure pills because my pressure started going up and they didn't know why. But it was because of my kidneys. And, June came. The whole month of May and June, I was sick as a dog. When I say sick, I couldn't cough, I couldn't blink, I couldn't say good morning without throwing up and feeling nauseous and my bones feeling like brittle. I mean, so sick. And I was constipated for months. I know y'all was like, that's disgusting. But seriously, I could not go to the bathroom. I was still, urinating and stuff. But I could not go to the bathroom any other way. And all I did every day was throw up and go to the NP. That's it. That's all. Keeping food down. Even food that I could keep down by the morning time or in the middle of the night, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. It was bad to the point that I couldn't even swallow water. But then June 16th rolls around. I finally say to my doctor after she says, listen, it's going to be your call because you still ain't sick enough for me to take any extreme measures other than the ones I've already taken. Right? And that's really unpleasant to hear. So I remember going in around that time when she said that, and she started telling me about what dialysis was about and kidney transplant. And I remember crying in her office. And it still made me emotional. I was weeping in her office. And not because my kidneys was failing, because it was just like, well, this is another thing that I have to go through, right? It's awful, but these are the cards that I'm dealt in my life. And God is good, I'm still alive, and I'm gonna be okay, right? But what made me cry is because, for those of you guys who don't know me, was my parents had already been through dialysis and getting kidney transplants. And I remember almost being envious of them, because I remember saying to myself, they didn't have to deal with all the stuff that I've been through in my life. And now they have gotten transplants and they get to take their medicine and live a better life. And here I am stuck in this situation that I can't get out of because of this is what my body does, right? I was so envious, and I was like, I'm so sad for myself, but I'm so happy for them because they get to get a new lease on life. But I gotta go through this, and that's rough, right? That's really rough. And I remember saying to my doctor, because she's been my doctor for a while. She's actually my mom's nephrologist too. And she was like, baby, please don't cry. She was like, because these are options for you. She said, let me tell you something. She said, I am going to go to bat for you so you could get a pancreas and a kidney at the same time. So you will never have to worry about diabetes tearing your body up again. But we just gotta get you on a transplant list. You just gotta get on dialysis, and we just gotta get you through this process. And I remember crying harder because I said, nobody never ever even gave me that option. Even with me being on an insulin pump and my body doing better. But even after I got that small victory of my body doing better, I ended up with kidney failure. And I was like, nobody ever said that to me. Why was that never an option for me? I thought I would never have that option. And I remember her saying, listen, you still not sick enough to get on dialysis, so but I'm just going to teach you about this stuff so when the time comes, you'll be prepared, right? Then I told y'all, May and June, I was so sick. I was suffering so bad. Nobody even knew. But, but my family, my mom and dad, nobody knew how bad I was, like, suffering and going through. And, like, it was really rough. It was bad. Nobody knew. Nobody knew but them. And I remember in June, my doctor, the first week of June, my doctor was like, well, I'm on vacation, and if you don't want anybody else to cut you or, go through this with you, you can wait it out if you can. It's your choice. She said, I have a doctor that's on standby waiting for you to call if you choose to go before I come back. She was like, because I don't want you to be miserable and sick like that anymore. But it's your choice if you want to wait. Please do not wait. If you feel like, just go. And I remember telling my mom, I am going to wait this out. I've been sick this long. I'm going to wait it out because after that incident with my foot, I don't trust doctors that I don't know to touch me. It is what it is. So, June 16th, I remember they said, come in June 16th, 6 a.m., and we going to do this for you so you can start dialysis. Mind you, I know what dialysis is, but I didn't know all the particulars about what I would be going through with the procedure I was about to get. Even with my mom and dad, because it was so long ago. And I guess it was so traumatic for them, they just pushed a lot of stuff to the back of their minds. But anyway, long story short, I ended up getting this catheter in my arm and in my chest, and I ended up getting a fistula in my arm. And I was in so much pain. I didn't even know that the same day that I got the catheter put in, that I would be starting dialysis as soon as I woke up from surgery. I had no idea. They didn't tell me that part. They just gave me the rundown of what it would do for my body. And I'm not even going to lie. After a weekend of dialysis, a weekend, not a week's end, but a weekend of dialysis, my body felt so much better. So much better. And after that weekend that I spent in the hospital, I ended up going to my dialysis at Washington Hospital Center. And I'm just going to say the care team that I have there, they are amazing. Amazing. I've never met people so kind and so, I don't know. The nurses in there are just amazing. The techs in there just so professional and amazing. And I'm going to tell you something. Your care team makes a difference, right? It really makes a difference. And it's just different. I know people who don't have good care team at their dialysis centers, and you can tell because the way that they have an outlook on life and the way they feel about going to dialysis. Don't get me wrong. I have had days where I do not want to go, but I go. And as soon as I walk in there, I already automatically feel better. Because I know no matter how rough the session is, because in the beginning I used to get so sick from dialysis. And even now my body hurts and I have days where I can't get out of bed for 2 and 3 days at a time. But even with that, the way they take care of me and are concerned about me, it just makes a difference in my treatment. And that's something that I really appreciate. But I'm going to say this. I also struggle sometimes with feeling like a burden. And some people who've been sick before, or you have, even financial problems and stuff, that stuff can make you really feel down and burdensome and ashamed. And this weekend I had an emotional little minute. Book of snot tears minute, right? And I realized the shame that I feel when I'm sad or from what I'm going through it's because I have this notion in my head that sometimes, or maybe all the time, that I'm a burden to my family. Because my parents are still very young, and they have to help me because I don't have no boyfriend right now or nothing like that. Because I don't have no boyfriend or nothing like that. So, it falls on them. But I also have a village of amazing friends and people that I call family who aren't necessarily, family by blood or whatever, that support me and care for me and love on me, and they're walking with me through this. Even with my imperfections, I'm still working to be better every day. And we're not even just talking about like my illnesses and my challenges in my body. We're talking about my character flaws, my character successes, all of that stuff. Because, again, I just want to be a better person. And I want to be surrounded by people who are trying to be better people, in essence, So, but I wanted to leave you guys with some quotes tonight. Remember, even though you are flawed, you are favored, and that's on period. God has really graced a lot of us to walk the walks that we walk. He has graced us to be who we are, because the next person could not be us. They could not be us. They could not walk in your shoes, my shoes. I can't walk in yours. You can't walk in mine. I remember a few weeks ago having a conversation with somebody, and they say, Miller, I would never want to have to walk through the things that you have walked through. I would never want to have to walk in your shoes. And my response was, I wouldn't want you either to have to walk in my shoes, because it has been rough. And sometimes I feel like I ain't getting a break. And I get tired of being a strong Black woman, right? I get tired of being me. But also I'm blessed to be me. And I know God has graced me for this. He has graced me. Even with my flaws, I am favored by God. He shines his light on me every day. Every day. And I'm still smiling. I'm still grinding. I'm still glowing. And I'm still growing. Right? And I want to leave you guys with this scripture. And I know everybody that get on here ain't spiritual. They ain't saved. They ain't this. They ain't that. But like I said, God and my family and friends is something that keeps me going. And my kids at school. Oh my God, I love them. But I just want to say, Psalms 84:11 says, "For the Lord God is sun and shield. The Lord bestows favor and honor. No good thing does he withhold from us." And that just basically means that even in your darkest hour, God is your light. He is your shield. He is protecting you. He even shows favor to you even in the worst of times. He even blesses us in the worst of our times. Even in in your most difficult days. He's still there. And he's not withholding good things from us. Because it's been days where I walked around for a month with $20 in my pocket. And then there's been other times where I just been blessed time after time after time. And waking up is a blessing for me. I just want y'all to remember that. Flawed but favored. But you're graced for this. You are graced for this life. You are covered for this life. And God is going to shine his light in every step of the way of this life that you are completing. Because your life has a purpose. Even when you can't see it right now, your life has a purpose. Even with your flaws, God has shown you favor in ways that you probably don't even recognize. I bet if you sit back and you think about all the times that you should have been down and out, but you might have been down, but you wasn't out. When you really think about it, right? God showed favor to you, even in your mess, even in the worst possible things that was happening to you. I'm sure you could find some way, somehow, that it has some kind of pleasantry in it or a lesson that you learn that's helping guide you through this next chapter of your life. Whew. Just remember, y'all, as a final note, you are flawed but favored. You are imperfect, but you are working to be better. Hold that near to your heart. Remember, God has graced you for your life journey, and that comes with triumphs and failures. But with grace comes favor, and you were built for it. Be encouraged and push through. Do not give up on this life journey. I know life has the audacity to be kicking our behind sometimes, but do not give up because you are graced and favored for your particular life journey. And that's the end for this time, guys. And I will be hollering at y'all next week with some more talk. I think about episode 4 or 5, we're going to get some friends to come on here. I got to figure out how to do like lives. Even if I do lives on my Instagram page, which is at Life the Audacity 22. If you follow me on Instagram, hit me on Life the Audacity 22. Or if you know my whole name, Jamila Council, you can type that in and you'll find me. And remember, guys, God loves you, I love you, and you are graced, you are favored. Mwah.